Okay, oh gosh. I'm here with Olive. This is going to be our second session. This is my dog's remote. I just happen to have it in my pocket. We're not using her remote today. She is wearing her e-collar now. We're not going to be using it at all this week. So I just want you to, see that she's wearing it. She's just going to get used to how it feels on her neck, essentially. I want her to get used to wearing it just like she would wear any other collar. Okay? All right. So I do want to kind of review the stuff we talked about in the last video where the audio is kind of rough. I took her out. I let her go potty. She really didn't want to go potty, so it's not that big of a deal. So if she has a potty accident in the middle of the training session, not a big deal because we're outside. So the first thing I want to do after she's gone potty, I want to make sure that she's taking food. So I have some of her kibble, and I'm just using her kibble here. She seems like she's pretty excited for her kibble. Nope, just kidding. She didn't want to take it. Just like in the last session, she didn't want to take it at first. So I'm not going to be using my clicker. I'm not going to be really doing anything until she just starts taking food. I'm not going to reward her for kind of jumping up like that. Thought she was going to take it. She almost took it. Oh, what is it? What is it? Oh. Oh, it's a good girl. Good. There we go. All right. So she took one piece of kibble. Let's see if she'll take another. Good girl. All right. So now that I know that she's taking kibble, I'm just going to continue click and feed. Since this is only our second session, I'm not going to ask for anything crazy. Again, I'm still conditioning her to realize that the clicker means that food is coming. All right. It might take a few sessions for her to make that connection, and that's okay. Now, in the meantime, we're still teaching good behaviors, right? So I don't have to click in order to reward her. The clicker is going to give us the opportunity to reward her for behaviors that we wouldn't otherwise be able to convey to her easily, right? I know it sounds a little confusing. Like, imagine my dog is away from me, 30 feet away, and I tell him to sit, and he does. I can click, let him know that he did the right thing, and then I'm going to bring him the food. Otherwise, it might take me, 10 to 15 seconds to walk over there, and he might not make the connection that he's getting rewarded for sitting, okay? So the clicker is going to help us really pinpoint the behaviors we like once it's really conditioned. Granted, the behaviors we're teaching right now are really simple. I can just teach her to coming to me, guess her food, but I'm going to multitask and teach her that the click also means she's getting food. Good girl. Now again, you notice I'm not giving her any commands yet. Good girl. I'm not asking her for anything. I'm not using her name because I want her name to have meaning. So anytime we have a word that we want to have meaning, we want to make sure we teach her what behavior is expected before we start to use the word. Good girl. All right. So the first behavior we're going to start to work on is heel. Now, I did talk about this a little bit in the other video, but I know the audio is probably pretty bad. When we talk about heel, right, most people are like, well, I don't need my dog competition healing or attention healing because I'm not going to compete or anything like that. And it's fine, right? I just want my dog to loose leash walk. Good girl. Good girl. So it's, when we say we want our dog to loose leash walk, we're saying, hey, I don't want my dog pulling on the leash out in front of me. I don't want my dog, weaving in between my legs. I don't want my dog pulling on the leash. I don't want my dog doing X, Y, and Z. And it's really hard to tell our dog, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this 1,000 times for a whole bunch of different things they're not supposed to do, when it's really easy just to say, just do this, right? If we give our dog something really simple to do, then it's a lot easier for them not to do the things we don't want them to do. So when we talk about heel or loose leash walking, good girl, all we're talking about is our dog walking next to us, right? Because when she is close to me, the leash is automatically loose. So if I teach her to stay next to me, then we're going to have a loose leash, right? And ideally, if we do that well enough, we're not going to need the leash at all, except for leash laws. But the leash, one, is a management tool, right? It's going to prevent her from running off and getting into trouble. It's going to prevent her from running into traffic, right? Dogs are living, breathing creatures, and they're always capable of making mistakes, just like humans. So the leash is a really great safety tool. The other thing we use it for is communication. So I want to make sure that when there is any type of pressure on the leash, it has meaning to it. Now, when I apply pressure, it should have meaning. If I stand here and she walks to the end of the leash and applies pressure to it, she's doing that, right? And all I'm saying is that that is as far as you can go. You're not going to go any further than this, all right? But if I'm over here and I'm pulling and I'm yanking and I'm doing a whole bunch of stuff, we're telling her a whole bunch of stuff that makes no sense, essentially. All right? The other thing is, the first thing that people don't realize, I think, is that the leash communicates to the dog whether we give it meaning or not. So when I pull on the leash this way, I'm actually telling her to pull the opposite direction. We call it opposition reflex, okay? So opposition reflex is when I pull one way and she pulls the other. Oh, sorry. So when we're out for walks and our dog is out ahead of us and we're pulling them back, we're telling them, go, 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 okay? So like I said, when we use a leash, it should have meaning, and it should have meaning that our dog understands. We're actually going to use that opposition reflex to our benefit too in later lessons. So because our leash is telling her basically to go the opposite direction, so if I pull her this way, it tells her to pull that way harder, right? And so we're going to use that when we want to do things like sit and down. All right? Good girl. But the first thing we do, I call this the attention game. I'm just getting her to look at me, and when she does, when she looks at me and comes to me, I mark and I reward. So when we start to talk about heel, all we're going to start to do is we're going to look for her to be on our left side, ideally facing forward, but anywhere on the left side for now is fine. We're going to slowly shape her into a beautiful heel picture. So I want her to get right about here. So I'm going to use my food a little bit. I'm going to use my voice. There we go. So that is what I would call a nice heel picture. Good. And I don't care if she stays there for right now. I don't care if she leaves the heel position. But what's going to happen is over time, I'm going to reward less and less just for her looking at me. And I'm going to start to reward more for her being in the heel position. There it is. I know I dropped another kibble. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, I can help her out a little bit by I can turn like this, right? I can turn my body so that she's on my left side. But I can also have her get into the position on her own. Puppy. Now, if you notice, you hear me making some goofy noises. Just trying to get her attention back on me, right? We're gonna call this bubbling. So when I start bubbling, that means bucka bucka bucka, just making a whole bunch of nonsense noises. Good girl. Okay. So again, the goal of the game is just to get her onto our left side. When she's on our left side, we click and then we reward. Another great reason we have a clicker is because the clicker can capture a moment in time. If you notice, she's kind of doing these little flybys where she comes in, gets her food, and then she's off, which is fine. Because I can capture that moment in time when she was in the right position. Good. Okay. So even if she kind of goes in and out of position, that's okay for now, right? So we're using what's called positive reinforcement. Positive reinforcement is whenever she does something we like, we reward it. And the more we reward that behavior, the more often it's going to happen. So if she starts to figure out that she's going to get rewarded every time she walks into my left side position, she's going to start to do that more often. Now, if you notice, I want her on my left side. I'm using my left hand to feed her. My treat pouch is on my left side. Our dogs are super smart and they're super observant. So they're paying attention to, not only what did I do to get the food, right? But also, where did the food come from? It came from that little pouch. Where was it delivered to me? It was delivered to me right here, right? Puppy. Hey. Good. And again, she's not super hungry, right? She probably had breakfast this morning or maybe like a big dinner last night, which is fine. She's only going to eat during her training sessions. And the more enthusiastic she is for her food, the more food she's going to get. If she's not super hungry, then she's not going to get any food. I think she found the kibble I dropped. Good girl. Now I'm actually clicking a little bit early. The reason is, I've been doing this for a long time. And what I'm actually doing is I'm seeing that she is about to move into the position I want. And I'm going to click and reward. So I'm actually clicking her when she's coming in. So she's probably back here. I click and then I feed her here. I'm not really going to worry about you guys doing that. Probably by the time she comes home, she's going to have a wonderful heel position. If you were doing this at home, though, I would say wait until she's in the heel position. It just comes down to being able to read the body language, read kind of like, hey, where is she looking? Where is she going? Good girl. Good girl. Hey, hey. She would rather eat the one little piece of kibble off the ground than the food in my hand. People are like, oh my God, why did she do that, right? I have a whole bunch of food in my hand, but she wants to find the one little piece I dropped. And that's actually really common. Dogs like to work for their food, right? They like to hunt, they like to search, they like to scavenge, right? They like to capture things, like kill animals, right? So trying to sniff out a little piece of food on the ground is much more entertaining than just getting fed from my hand. What she doesn't know is I'm asking her to do something. Puppy. Good. Puppy. Right? Good job. Good girl. She doesn't quite know that she's actually doing something to earn the food yet. I think once she does, she's going to be very, very enthusiastic to learn. That's going to take a little bit for us to kind of get to know each other and for her to realize, like, this is a learning partnership. So, puppy. Hey. I suspect maybe where I dropped a piece of kibble earlier. If I can find the kibble I dropped, I will pick it up. I can't quite see it. Puppy! Buckus! Aha! Found it. Aha, it's one that she spit out. There we go. Ideally, I don't want her eating kibble off the ground. Puppy! Hey! Would you? Good girl. Yeah. Uh-oh. Puppy! Oh, what a pretty girl. What a pretty girl. I clicked, so I'm going to make sure she gets that food. Puppy! Yeah! Good job. Yeah, it's a good girl. Oh, there she is. She's awake. Oh no, we got zoomies. Good girl. Uh-oh, we dropped it. I can get it. Ready? Good job. Good girl. Gosh, I love her so much. She is so sweet. She's a good girl, huh? Now, if you notice in the videos, I haven't really been petting on her and loving on her yet. Oh God, I dropped food. Yeah, I'm faster than you, sweetheart. I want her to understand that love and affection, pet and praise is also something she's going to earn. Puppy, what are you doing? What are you doing? I know, something fell out of the tree. Hey, Yes, good girl. Oh, I dropped it again. Here you go. Puppy. Hi. Good. Now, if you notice, we're not really going anywhere, right? We're staying in this one little area. One, she's been out here and she has investigated all she can investigate. Again, I'm not going to let her eat food off the ground. She spit that one out. She's investigated as much as she can. There's nothing new out here. So ideally, I want to be in a place where I'm the most interesting thing. One, I have a pocket full of her food, right? And two, I'm saying stuff. I'm doing stuff, right? We're playing a little game together. I can tell she's getting tired. It's a little warm out today, so we're going to end it on that. And then, yeah. So we'll be out again in a little bit. I'm not going to record all of my sessions, but every couple days I will record them so you can see where she's at. Every time we're working on something new, I'll record it. Yeah. If you have questions, don't hesitate. Call or text anytime. All right. Let's go.